Street Talking Other Stuff. Mike, Mad Dog Magnotti, thanks for tuning in on this fine Monday morning. Hey, weather's great. Enjoy it. I didn't want to think about what's coming ahead weather-wise, but hey, it's still cool. I still think it's partly summer, but I just love it when you're here. But thanks for tuning in today. Hey, look, I have got a very, very interesting show. I have had this guest lined up for quite some time. I've been looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show, but I want you to stick around. But just a couple of things beforehand. I mean, back when I had to set up some entertainment stuff from somebody for this religious group I was working with, I went to an agency and I said, how much does it cost to rent a church singing group? And the agent said to me, oh, do you mean a choir? I said, okay, fine. What does it cost to acquire a church singing group? Oh, well, I'm glad I like that one. But then there was a story, you know, my church a while back, we hired somebody to paint the church, and the guy was kind of a crook. He watered down the paint, okay, but he watered down it so much so the first time it rained, the paint streaked and washed away. So very, you know, humbly, he came to the pastor and said, what do you want me to do about it? And the pastor said, repaint and thin no more. Okay, great. Look, I got a good show for you. Like I say, I've got a cool guest, so hey, stick around. Street Talking Other Stuff. We will be right back.
Most of us are in touch with the internet in one way or another all day long. A fast, secure connection matters. It keeps us entertained, informed, and in touch. Locatel cares about your connection. We know strong, reliable internet with your choice of speed makes life better. If you need fast, reliable internet, or maybe an upgrade, or you just have questions, connect with us by visiting locatel.com or call 509-888-8888 today.
Crystal's Intimate Lounge in downtown Leavenworth is a wonderful place to enjoy mouth-watering appetizers and drinks while socializing, watching sports, playing bingo, pull tabs, or simply relaxing while enjoying the breathtaking mountain views. Crystal's family-friendly restaurant has a warm environment to enhance your dining experience, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Crystal's restaurant, lounge, and event space is located 2 blocks west of downtown Leavenworth on Highway 2.
Hey, welcome back to Save Mart. What can we help you find today?
We're looking for a mattress.
Oh, right this way. We got a large selection. We have this pillow top here.
Oh, comfortable.
We have more to choose from down here.
Oh.
I think I have the perfect one over here for you.
I guess we'll take this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Caught in a conflict? Family, workplace, neighbor, business, housing disputes? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us to learn more.
Okay, we're back, and hey, thanks for tuning in. I want to say, I have been looking forward to having Pastor Dane Breslin on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. We arranged this a number of months ago, and I've been really looking forward to this one, but thank you very much for being here. Okay, I know you're busy, and I know you've got a lot on your plate. We're going to talk about some stuff that could be considered sensitive today, so I appreciate your being here, Pastor. So
Absolutely, yeah.
But a little bit about yourself. You're the pastor of the Sunny Slope Church.
That's right.
But
I grew up in a big Roman Catholic family with 5 kids. I'm the middle child.
oh, I'm a middle kid too.
Yeah, that's why I'm so.
All right,
that's why I've got so many issues. And yeah, I mean, in terms of religion, my grandmother, before she met my grandfather, was a nun, and I just.
Are you really?
Yeah, really.
And she broke away and got married? Good for her.
She was taking care of cancer patients. She said she was having the time of her life, and she got sick and got sent home back to her family, and then that's where she met my grandpa. And they were just the most humble, down-to-earth,
cool.
Catholic folks in the universe, and they just brought me up in a very religious way, and it kind of just saturated my whole.
Okay, and they raised all 5 of you? You and
No,
your,
no,
your siblings?
no, not all 5 of us. I just spent a lot of time with them.
Okay, all right, cool.
And yeah, that's kind of how I got going on this road. Was just I don't know, just kind of being saturated with a faith life early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel from an early point in your life that going into the ministry was something that was going to be your life calling for you, or? Because I asked my wife the other day if she ever wanted to be a nun. She says all Catholic girls want to be nuns, but it didn't last long.
Yeah.
It didn't last long with her, thank God.
Yeah. Well, it's a little confusing. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a parent, and I also kind of felt like I remember seeing the priests and what they were doing, and thinking like maybe that's something that I would want to do.
Sure.
But I was always very highly involved with the church. I was an altar server and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But those things didn't really mesh very well, and I didn't really know about Protestantism at all. So I kind of put the desire to be a priest on a different table.
Okay. Is there a reason for that? Is it just, the celibate life was not something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just priests.
If you don't mind my asking.
No, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, in the Roman Catholic Church, priests don't typically get married.
Right.
I don't think they ever get married,
Right.
and they definitely aren't getting married and having kids. So I was just kind of like,
Well, we don't have to go there.
yeah. So I mean, ideally, right? So I think as a child, I was just like, okay. These two desires aren't going to work together. So yeah.
So how did you approach Protestantism, in a different way, or how did you? How did you go from becoming, because Roman Catholics, they, can be an interesting journey when you move away from that. So.
Totally. So I went to Gonzaga for my undergrad, and I got a degree in environmental studies, and it was there that I think the Jesuits really sort of started prompting us to see or find God in all things.
Right.
And the more that I thought about it, the more I realized, like, I think my faith is really, really big, and the box that I'm finding myself in is really constrictive. And at some point, there are all these incredible women leaders in the Catholic Church, many of whom I was brought up by, and I just started to get really upset that they didn't have the same authority as the priests, as the men. So at some point in my young adulthood, I stopped going to Mass, and I stopped participating in religion, and I kind of went through my own deconstruction process. Yeah,
that's not uncommon, as you well know. So
no, I think it's actually really important to go through a deconstructive process of whatever faith or tradition that you're brought up with, and then to kind of take that apart and examine it, and then figure out what's real for you, what really resonates, what makes sense. And it was actually during that time of deconstruction that I really felt like the Holy Spirit was with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm on a spiritual journey right now, and I'm being led somewhere that I have never been, and I don't know where I'm going right now.
Okay.
Because I was experiencing a lot of doubt, a lot of an unknown, and frankly, quite a bit of fear. About, there's a great comfort in continuing to participate in the religion of your childhood that you're brought up in. And in that time, I was kind of like found, and I was asked to co-direct an ecumenical youth group in Bend, Oregon.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which consisted of a couple different denominations. It was the ELCA, which is the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the Episcopal Church, the Methodist Church, and then the Presbyterian Church USA. And so these communities came together and formed a sanctuary space for LGBTQ plus kids of faith. And they asked me to co-direct it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues into something. In all honesty, we talked about why I wanted to have you on. You're a special pastor. Okay.
So I'm the only, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only openly queer pastor in the valley
Okay, all right.
at the moment, and I would be happy to be corrected and be wrong about that.
So-
And yeah, that's been. Yeah, well, what do you want to know about that?
Okay, one of the thing is, I mean, how someone in the queer community would come to Christianity. I mean, this is an argument I have with other right-wing Christians. We are not open and loving, generally speaking. I mean, there are churches that are affirming, and you're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
But like we were saying earlier off camera, a friend of mine recently said in church that she hesitates to say that she's a Christian, and I do too, because people think we're homophobic. We don't think abortion is a black and white issue, and they think we like Trump. We have to kind of explain that.
Yeah.
But the church has not been friendly to the queer community, okay? And I'm sorry, they haven't. And I know they're going to say, well, we love them. Well, no, you don't. You think they're going to hell.
Right.
Okay, so a person in your position, it must have been a real... Sorry I'm getting so passionate about this, but I am. But it must have been part of the struggle you were going through to say, not only am I going to become a Christian, but I'm going to become a Christian leader.
Yeah.
So if you would speak to that, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, to be clear, I think the loudest voice in the nation that is getting to define what Christianity looks like and is and how people understand it is white Christian nationalism. And that is one version of Christianity. And it is just so important to know, for people to know, that there are many, many, many forms of Christianity, many streams, and that one voice does not actually get to define Jesus's message.
Very true. Very
so,
true.
as a queer kid growing up in the church, I heard a lot of conflicting opinions.
Sure.
But when I was listening to the words of Jesus, which is what my faith is based off of, I never felt for even a moment that I wasn't beloved or
great.
good.
Thank God.
Does that make sense?
Very much so, because I very frequently tell people who aren't believers, stop looking at the people who claim to be Christians. Look to Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't love the guy?
I mean, Jesus was very inclusive.
Yes.
He was reaching out
to
whoever was being outcast, marginalized, whoever was being disinherited. Those were the folks that he was inviting to the table.
Right,
So, and in this context, and I think in our world today, that is the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, very much so,
Whoever's
yeah.
being demonized and being said, this group of people in the culture is the problem. This is where all the ills of our society are coming from. That is the group that Jesus of Nazareth was actually actively moving towards, right? And embracing and loving and touching. So for me personally, when it comes to my own faith, there's no dissonance for me.
Right.
Now with many things that specific Christian groups will say about my community, the queer community, I mean, I just have to disagree with them.
Okay.
And kind of, I have to reiterate.
And do our best to love them at the same time, right? I mean, talk about a struggle.
But also just, I have compassion though too, I have compassion towards people who are afraid. Because I think that's really where it comes from.
Pastor, that emanates from you. It does. The fact that you have compassion. I mean, it does. It's part of the personality that you express. So.
Oh, thank you.
So it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. That being said, people who are caught up in white Christian nationalism I am not, I'm called to love those people too.
Yes, we are.
And to reach out to them and to try, to be in community, because we're supposed to be one. We're supposed to be one.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. No, well, Jesus said that. He says, you are to be one person, and that's the one thing we're not getting. But you've read Nadia Weber-Bowles.
Nadia Bolz-Weber.
Nadia Bolz-Weber. So I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
She says too, and she's very out there, we'll just leave it at that at this point. But she says, I have to struggle with loving people
Yeah.
who are on the right-wing side of it, but it's true, we do, you know, we do. And even though, you know, Christian Nationalist Church, they're still a church, okay? And if God can work through me with all my faults, okay, I just pray that some people who I necessarily don't agree with or I think aren't incorrect, I don't pray that they change. I pray that God reveals himself to them and that their lives will glorify him, one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's taken me a while to get there. But hey, you know, we're going to take a quick break, but I'm talking with Pastor Dane Breslin. Pastor Breslin is the pastor of the Sunny Slope Church out on Sunny Slope. He hopes he's wrong, but he believes he is the only openly person in the queer community who's pastoring a church. Although there are many churches in town that are affirming. We're going to talk about those, but we need to take a break. So Street Talk and other stuff, you stick around. We will be right back. So.
This is Grace, and this is her world record-holding guinea pig with an iconic name, Abby.
She currently holds the Guinness World Record for the highest bar jump by a guinea pig. I ride horses and I jump, so I kind of thought it'd be interesting to teach my guinea pig to jump like my horse does.
One day she came out of her room and looked at us, and I said, "Did you get it?" And she said, "Yeah, we got it."
After we won our award, we came to Abby's to celebrate.
Somewhere behind these doors is a family member, often alone, taking care of a loved one with Alzheimer's or some other disability, or providing care for a loved one who is not ill but only aging and no longer able to care for themselves. In the field of caregiving, this is the home front. For the home is where most Americans will live out their last days. Contact Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington for a variety of services, including caregiving, meals, and medication help.
Hibis Public Market is on the move to make parking, dining, shopping, and events an even better experience for our community. Check out the progress that has already been made towards the revitalization. The West Side project is well on its way, but we need your help to get over the finish line. All donations are greatly appreciated and can be made online at our website or in person at the business office. We want to thank those who have already partnered with us. You are helping make the place we love a better place for our community to meet.
D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee provides financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their futures. Whether it's helping construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, they start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. An individualized approach is rooted in the values, stability, and strength their company was founded on in 1935. With offices coast to coast and personal attention you deserve right here in the Wenatchee Valley, learn more about D.A. Davidson.
Okay, we're back. I'm talking with Pastor Dane Breslin, pastor of the Sunny Slope Church. And you've been there for less than a year.
That's right.
Okay, how has your acceptance, integration into the community been?
Yeah.
Both the valley itself and the faith community?
Well, I've been in the Valley for about 3 years, and it's because I was continuing my training here, and then I got ordained last December. Okay. I was called to the Sunny Slope Church, and the Sunny Slope Church has been absolutely amazing, and is one of the most courageous faith communities that I've actually ever encountered.
Really cool.
But in terms of like the whole community, it's been pretty amazing how many church leaders in this valley have been not only accepting of me, but also supportive of me.
Sure.
Have helped me.
Good.
Have the tools that I need. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been really great.
Okay. You know some of those churches? Would you like to,
Yeah. So maybe this is my moment of gratitude. It takes a lot of courage for Christian communities and for Christian leaders to step up as people who are allies to the LGBTQ plus community. And I just want to take just a second to thank these individuals. So a big thank you to Reverend James Allgard at Grace Lutheran and Reverend Eva Jensen at Faith in Leavenworth, Reverend Debbie Sperry at the First United Methodist Church, Reverend Mike Rumley-Wells, who was on your show at Brethren Baptist, Reverend Dave Haven, who's at Celebration Lutheran, he's retired now, as well as Reverend Francis Twiggs, who's at St. Luke's, Episcopal, Reverend Tom Wilbur, who's at New Song
Tim Wilbur. Tim Wilbur. Yeah, take it, Tim.
Yeah. Has Tim been on the show?
Yeah.
Okay,
Tim's been on a number of times.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to have Tim.
And Tom Neese at Serve Wenatchee, as well as folks from the Cascade Unitarian Universalist Fellowship and the Buddhist community, specifically Stone Blossom Sangha, and the Baha'i community. Like, it's been pretty amazing how many people of faith, different faiths in this community, have really like made an effort to reach out to me, to connect, to make
that
it
makes
known
me
that
feel good. So
they are happy that I'm here, and they support me in my ministry.
Good, cool.
Yeah.
So you're feeling welcomed. Okay?
I felt very welcomed.
Has there been any, if you don't mind my asking, any challenging feedback? Because like I say, I know Tim has gotten some grief because New Song is an affirming church, and I know some other people have. And not to dwell on the negative, but I think we need to face up to the fact that, you're being very courageous as well, And I applaud that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there will always be folks on Facebook who who will say just terrible things about me.
Well, I know. So.
Knowing very little about me, they feel entitled to question my intelligence and my credentials, whether I've ever read the Bible. I mean,
thank you, Jesus.
And I try really hard to not read those comments or let me let them in so that my heart hardens against them.
Right.
Because as a follower of Jesus, I'm called to love my enemy and to serve my neighbor.
Yeah.
And these people are my neighbors, and so I will. I genuinely take that to heart, and so I try not to read too many of the comments.
Okay. Which is smart. I mean, I was getting some negative feedback, and I just deleted the person. I don't need to read that. It doesn't need to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want to dislike the people involved, but I do appreciate your courageousness, because it is. I mean, a guy like me, I'm risking nothing. I mean, what people do, take me out by the bike rack and beat me up.
I mean, maybe.
Well, they could.
They could, I mean.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to, the question I asked. I mean, why would a person in the queer community even consider church? And you kind of answered that, but would you go over that again?
Sure. Maybe more why anybody would.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think at the heart of the gospel message is an inclusive love that God is extending towards all people, and also liberation from oppression. This is a major theme throughout the Old Testament, the New Testament, and so for people who have experienced, genuine oppression and marginalization, there is so much within the Christian text that is speaking to them.
And that's so much social justice.
Exactly.
So much the message of the Old Testament prophets, as well as Jesus. And so, okay, now this kind of moves into, what is the mission for your church, Sunny Slope Church?
So that's a great question. So at the Sunny Slope Church, we still believe that God is still speaking, and that we are invited into this kind of co-creative process with the divine. That actually, a new world is wanting to be born, and we're invited into that.
Right.
And we can kind of see the glimmers of it. In the Gospels, it's often called the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And it's a place where the first are last and the last are first. It's a place where there's a subversion of the power structure.
Right.
Right now in our country, there's a very tiny group of people who have a vast majority of the wealth and the resources. And their job is to divide us. And
so that they can maintain their status quo. Right?
Yeah, so they can maintain the status quo, so that they can have power over us. One thing I like to say is that, we really are all in this together, and if we could get over our differences, if we could reconcile, if we could build a coalition, we could actually address those folks at the very top and demand a better life for everybody.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things Jesus left us. You are to be one, even as I as the Father are one. And we're so good at everything else. Well, maybe not the way to, but we're not very good at that one. So,
Right. Yeah.
So we got to watch that.
So at the Sunny Slope Church, we are just inviting folks into that process of seeking justice for people who are suffering and struggling, and really extending love towards everyone that we can, you know, and serving people in need, accompanying people through challenge and crisis.
That's what we're being asked to do. You know, I spoke at my church a while back, and I said when Jesus was ascending into heaven in the book of Acts, he didn't stand there and say, go into the world and tell people that they're going to go to hell if they don't get on their knees and say the sinner's prayer.
Right.
He says, go and make followers so we can make this world a better place. And that's much different than what we have turned it into.
Right.
And I think if many people were more confronted with that, saying, hey, you know, don't, yes, I know we have to deal with the sin in our life, but instead go to people that says, you have the opportunity to join with the divine to make heaven on earth, okay? Not to take over education systems or the government, but to forgive people, to provide for people, to do social justice, as you said, okay, to love your neighbor as yourself.
Which does mean standing in solidarity with marginalized communities.
Yes,
and
very
it
much
means
so.
going upstream. It's not just pulling people out of the stream when they're coming down the river. It's actually going upstream and figuring out why they're fallen in the first place.
Good analogy, yeah.
And addressing systems and structures that are oppressing people of color, indigenous people, queer folk, women, and saying, you know, looking at the systems and structures themselves and trying to change them.
Right.
You know, and I think that's somewhere that the Sunny Slope Church in particular is oriented towards, right? That we are wanting and inviting other faith communities to join us. It's one thing to keep pulling people out of the river and making sure, you know, but it's another thing to form a coalition and speak truth to power.
Right. Okay, and I need to interrupt because we've got to take a break.
All right.
But hey, we're talking with Pastor Dane Breslin, pastor of the Sunny Slope Church here in Wenatchee, but we need to take a break. We're going to come back and say goodbye. Street Talk and other stuff. Stick around. We're going to be right back.
Badger Mountain Brewery is your cure for boredom. Jam Night Mondays. Trivia Wednesdays. Live Music Fridays. And Sunday Brunch. There's always something brewing at Badger Mountain, so come join the party.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Okay, we're back talking with Pastor Dane Breslin, pastor of the Sunny Slope Church out on School Street in Wenatchee. Services on Sunday at 10:30.
That's right.
And people are invited.
They are. They
Yeah, let
absolutely
them
are.
come out. But hey, I want to thank you very much,
Yeah.
Pastor, for being here. God bless you. We're glad to have you. We'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
So appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so
but
much.
hey, it's all right. My pleasure. But hey, Street Talk and other stuff. Thanks for coming in. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
We'll take you to Arizona for one of the nation's best pass rushers, and also stop in California for a rising star in volleyball. You'll hear from quarterbacks in Georgia and Ohio, and former NFL QB Bernie Kosar will chat with us in this week's Journey to Greatness. Those stories and more are coming up next on Sports Stars of Tomorrow. Welcome to Sports Stars of Tomorrow. I'm Charles Davis. We're going to begin today's show on the West Coast with a volleyball star who's adding to the history